Hello and welcome to this presentation on creating a mobile app as part of the MOOC development initiative, MOOC being the massive online open course. This has been developed by FIT Limited with assistance from Zynga Games and from Mark Deegan of the Dublin Institute of Technology. This particular presentation is designed to provide our fellow MOOC developers with an overview of the FIT mobile app development MOOC. The MOOC itself has been designed to enable participants to create their own mobile app using tools which are available for free on the internet. In this course, the students will learn a simple game called Time to 10, which times how long it takes you to answer 10 arithmetic questions correctly. The development program is presented in 10 modules, with each module building on the skills learned in the previous modules. The first module provides an end-to-end overview of the process of creating your mobile app, which initially will be developed using an emulator and which you can later transfer to your own mobile device. So, module number 1 then is a demonstration of the game itself and an end-to-end overview of the development process. The subsequent modules in the program break down the development cycle into simple steps that you can follow. Subsequently, you may wish to make your own customizations or use your new skills to enhance this app or to develop new ones. The subsequent modules include the development environment, which is essentially the cloud. You're accessing an internet website, it's as simple as that. There's no local storage of your files. The development environment also includes Android emulators and connecting Android devices. Another aspect of the development environment are design windows and block windows. I'm not going to go into any detail on those at the moment, but they're just part of that development environment that we'll discuss later. We'll get on then to creating the first screen, which is sometimes known as a splash screen. And then we'll look at designing and building the main game screen. Thereafter we look at the implementation of the logic behind the main game screen, designing and building the score screen, and implementing the logic of the score screen. And the final module then looks at recording and maintaining winning scores. The platform that we'll be using to develop the mobile app is App Inventor, which was developed by MIT, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. And the beauty of App Inventor is that it's independent of any programming language and the development environment is entirely cloud-based. All you need to start is a web browser. So let's begin with a quick look at the game and the development process. Let's have a look at the Time to 10 mobile app. This is a simple game, the object of which is to complete 10 arithmetic questions in the shortest possible time. This is the splash screen here, and if we just click on start, we'll get into the game screen. The game screen takes a little bit of time to come up because we're using an emulator. If we had a connected phone, this would happen far faster. Okay, so what we're seeing on this screen here is a count of the correct answers, a count of the incorrect answers, and an overall timer. When we're ready to start the game, we will simply click on go, which we're going to do right now. So 7 by 10, the answer is clearly 70, so we'll click on 70 and we get one correct answer. The second question is immediately presented, 15 by 2, and this time we'll deliberately pick the wrong answer at 45, and you can see that the incorrect counter has incremented. So now we've got 15 by 19, and the correct answer again here is 285. So we've got 2 here and 1 incorrect, and the timer continues to run. Okay, so we'll simply step through these. And once we've got 10 correct answers, we'll get a final score screen. Again, there is a bit of a delay here using the emulator. Okay, so we've got 10 correct answers, 1 incorrect answer. The time taken was 43, and there was a penalty of 5 seconds for the incorrect answer. So the overall score is 48 seconds, and then we've got typical high scores or whatever. And we can elect to play again or to stop the game. So that's a quick overview of this particular app. Okay, so let's have a quick look at how we access the development environment, which is supplied to us from MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology. So, very simple. I'm going into a web browser, into Google, and I'm going to enter MIT Map Inventor. Okay. I'm using the Chrome browser. You can also use Firefox. You can't actually use Internet Explorer, so worth being aware of that. So MIT App Inventor has come up here, and here I see the little icon that's associated with MIT App Inventor, so it's a little Android symbol and a sort of a jigsaw, and we'll see the significance of the sort of jigsaw shape a little bit later on. So I'm going to click Start, and I've got some setup instructions here. So I'm going to click on Setup, and at this point I'm offered three setup options. One where I have a computer and an Android device and they're connected wirelessly. One where I have a computer and I intend only to use the emulator for the time being. I can use a connected device a bit later on. And the third option then is where I have a computer and I have an Android device and they are connected but physically connected using a USB connection. In this instance, I only want to use the emulator for the time being, so I'm going to take this option on this occasion. So I click on the instructions, and the instructions are there for Mac and for Linux machines, but I'm using a Windows machine, so I'm going to select this one. Okay. So we're now told that we need to download an installer. So I'm going to click that. And down in the bottom left of the screen here we can see the installer being downloaded. It takes approximately a minute on my machine. If you have a faster connection or a faster machine, it could take less time. A slower connection or a slower machine, it'll take more time. Once the installer downloads, I'm going to simply be double clicking on it or clicking on it a single time, or I might have to double click. And I'll be asked the usual sort of installation dialog that I'm sure many of you are familiar with. So we'll see what comes up then. Terms and conditions, to which I'm going to agree, and then my directory where I'm going to set it up, and you can accept the defaults, and then you're just going to click install. And you can see a progress bar here. So I'm just going to finish now. Okay, so what do we do next? Well, we've downloaded the software. Now we just want to set up the emulator, because we want to see what we're doing as we're developing. We want to see it appear on the emulator. So click on set up the emulator. And what that tells us is that the emulator requires a little helper program called AI Starter. And there's a shortcut to that AI Starter that has now been put on your desktop as part of the installation, and it's also put on the Start menu. So we need to just activate that. So I'm just going down to my Windows Start, and I'm going to click on AI Starter. And as you can see, we have this small little program running in the background. I'm not going to click X, I'm going to click Minimize. Okay. So now we have the helper program running in the background, and then we're pretty close to ready to go. So the last link here is just through to the development environment itself. So I'm going to click on that. I get a little notification message, a sort of a welcome message, which gives me some setup links for Android devices or for emulators, but we've already done this. We've already taken this step to set up our emulator, so we're not going to do anything here. We're just going to hit continue. Now, in this particular instance, you're seeing something on the screen here because I've used this machine as part of the development for this particular app. But you would start off with a new screen. So I'm going to simulate that by clicking on Projects, Start New Project, and call it New Game. Just click on OK. And this is what you will typically start off with. You'll start off with a blank screen. On the left hand side we have a palette of tools that you can use to create items on this screen. Notice over here that we're in designer mode. So this designer button here is clicked, and so whatever we see on the screen here is what we will see on our Android device. So this is effectively the emulator. Okay, so we can use elements from this palette over here, and we can drag them onto the screen, and we can change the characteristics of them. For example, I might call this button Start, and in real time the name of this button is now called Start. It's not actually going to do anything because we haven't associated any action with it, but you can see that it's present on the screen and it would appear on the Android device should we have one connected. Okay, the second part of this is the actions that are associated with the screen and the logic that goes behind any particular app that you develop. And those actions and the controls sit in behind each screen. Each screen has its own set of what are known as blocks. So I'm going to click on blocks. And we have an empty screen here. And we can place a number of blocks, any number of blocks, on the individual screen associated with this. So here are a range of blocks that we can use, and we just select them and place them on the screen. Okay, and we'll see how they link up together to form the logic of the program at a later stage. So that's pretty much it. There's not much to it other than that. So we have these designer screens where we design the appearance of the screen and the layout and the colors, the format and so on. And we implement the logic using logic blocks. Okay. We then have a number of options that we can use to save the project, to export it in a particular format where we can email it to somebody, for instance, and they can open the email on their Android device and click on the link, and it'll cause the program to be installed on the app to be installed on their device. Or we can just save it as a project and work on it later on. So there's a number of different save options that we have here. We also have a number of connection options here. Unfortunately, this is a development platform at the end of the day, and it sometimes gets into trouble, and you lose the connection between the development platform and the emulator. So you can reset that connection and you can restart the emulator. So there's a couple of things there. Okay, so we're going to park it there for the moment, and we'll just come to our particular app for a moment just to see some aspects of the screen. My projects. So here we see my projects, and we're going to click through to Time to 10, which is the actual program that we've developed. And So here's the splash screen, and we can see the elements of the screen are all clickable. I can click on all of these things, and the characteristics of them of these particular blocks of information are determined over here. So for example, scores for the last game, the font size is 14. If I wanted to increase that, I could simply say 18, and this text over here would increase in size, as you can see. This particular image here is, when I click on that, I can see that it's a background image, and it's called androidify.png. So it's just a PNG file, and it's just a graphic file. So you can change that to suit any file that you wish, any image that you have yourself. And the last part here is just a button, and we can see what that button does by just clicking on the blocks. And here's a little piece of code, effectively, which determines what happens when the start button is pressed. So when start button is clicked, open another screen, and the screen is called game screen. So that's how the application knows that it's opening another screen. Okay, so we can then look at the game screen, and we'll just go into Designer here, and this is the actual game screen itself. And once again, all the component parts of this particular screen all have characteristics, colors, shapes, sizes that we can change. The logic behind the screen again is contained within the blocks, and I'm not going to go into this in any detail here now, but there are a number of blocks, a number of activities that happen which control, for example, the timers and the recording of the correct and incorrect answers, the generation of false answers, the generation of the true answer, etc., etc. So all of these colored pieces of codes and these little jigsaw pieces help to create that environment. We'll see these blocks in much greater detail in later modules, but I hope that gives you a sense of the development environment for this particular application. So it's really quite quick. Within probably 15-20 minutes, you can have the development environment set up on your PC ready to go. And after that, there's quite a number of tutorials that are available for you as well, that you can use to assist you and to see how other people have done coding. Okay, thank you. So hopefully the previous presentations there gave you some indication of the development cycle for this particular app, and I hope you enjoyed that presentation. Just going to close out the presentation overall, having a quick look at what we've achieved to date and what the next steps are. So what have we achieved so far? Well, we've designed a simple app that we believe will be within the compass of transition year students to develop. We've identified a development platform which is free to use and requires very little computer knowledge or experience to access. We've developed a prototype of the game as a proof of concept. We've developed a brief presentation for the MOOC team to demonstrate the use of the Camtasia tool as an enabler for the MOOC. And finally, we've identified the next steps required to implement the MOOC. So just going to have a look at those next steps. So over the next few weeks, we will be finalizing the app, breaking the app down, the app development process into modular steps, developing the narrative to accompany the modules, outlining some assessments in the form of quizzes, and recording the associated presentations and Camrecs. In terms of timeline, we hope to meet our target of having the modules ready for the MOOC review team by early to mid-January. And that's really it. My name is Mark Taylor. It's the 19th of November 2014, and I'd just like to say thank you very much on behalf of FIT Limited and our partners Connor Nolan of Zenga Games and Mark Deegan, lecturer in computing at Dublin Institute of Technology. Thank you.